It was one of those crisp, bright New York mornings when Live with Kelly and Mark was buzzing with the kind of energy only a guest like Seth MacFarlane could bring. Kelly Ripa perched elegantly on her chair with the easy grace of a daytime talk show veteran adjusted her cue cards and flashed that signature grin at the cameras. Beside her, Mark Consuelos leaned back in his seat, fully prepared for the verbal curveballs Seth was known to throw. This was far from Seth's first rodeo on Live. In fact, as the cameras rolled and applause filled the studio, he opened with a mischievous observation that had the audience roaring. "You know, Kelly," Seth began, with the dry timing of someone who had been rehearsing this jab since the car ride over, "I think I've been on this show about 6 times. And every single time, you've had a different co-host." He let the statement hang in the air just long enough for Kelly to arch an eyebrow. Without missing a beat, Seth leaned forward, lowering his voice into mock seriousness. "At this point, I'm starting to think you're murdering them." The crowd erupted. Mark nearly choked on his coffee. Kelly threw her head back with laughter, clutching her cue cards like a shield. "Oh my God, Seth," she gasped. "Do not start that rumor. You know how fast that will end up on page 6. Too late." Seth smirked, pretending to whisper to the cameras. "Mark, buddy, if she offers to make you a smoothie, just say no." Mark played along, adopting a look of faux horror. "You mean to tell me I should be checking my drink? Every morning, every sip," Seth confirmed gravely. "The woman is a daytime icon. But I think she's running through co-hosts like I run through Star Trek references. A history of on-air victims." The banter was all in good fun. But Seth's joke did have a grain of truth. Kelly had, indeed, worked alongside a revolving door of co-hosts, since taking over from Regis Philbin in 2011, from Michael Strahan to Ryan Seacrest, and now Mark Consuelos. The chemistry had always been there, but the turnover rate was undeniably high. "Do you realize," Seth continued, "I've been here with Regis. I've been here with Michael. I've been here with Ryan. And now with Mark. That's like me being on Family Guy with a different Stewie every year." Kelly feigned offense. "Are you saying I'm hard to work with?" "Oh no," Seth said, smirking. "I'm saying you're dangerously charming. There's a difference. One gets you hate mail. The other gets you an 8-episode true crime Netflix series." The audience lost it again, and even Kelly had to admit he had a point. "You know, I would watch that, but only if you narrated it in your Peter Griffin voice." The live true crime parody, like any good comedian, Seth seized the opportunity. "Oh, absolutely. I can see the trailer now." He shifted into his unmistakable Peter Griffin voice. In the glamorous world of daytime television, one woman had it all: charm, style, and a suspiciously empty co-host chair every few years. Then, switching into his deeper narrator voice, he continued, "This summer, Kelly Ripa stars in co-host killer, Live in the Morning." Kelly slapped the desk, laughing so hard she couldn't get her next question out. Mark, clearly enjoying the spectacle, added, "We'll get Law and Order to do a crossover episode. Olivia Benson walks in during Hot Topics." Seth nodded. "Yeah, and she says, 'Kelly, we have reason to believe your last co-host didn't just move to Los Angeles.'" A peek behind the curtain as the laughter subsided, Kelly leaned in with a mischievous smile of her own. "You know what, Seth, you've got me all wrong. It's not that I get rid of them. They just can't keep up with me." "Oh, so you're saying you're too good," Seth teased. "I'm saying it's like a relay race," Kelly replied. "I pass the baton, they run as far as they can, and then they collapse in the green room." Mark interjected with a laugh. "Honestly, she's not wrong. The hours are brutal. The energy is constant. And you have to be ready for Kelly to change topics from celebrity gossip to ancient Roman aqueducts in the span of 30 seconds. "That's true," Seth said. "I once came on here to promote a movie, and somehow I left with a recipe for banana bread and a lecture on Pilates reformers." Memories of chaos. The conversation drifted into Seth's past visits, each one accompanied by a wild or unexpected moment. "Do you remember the time you brought a giant singing fish?" Kelly asked. "How could I forget?" Seth said. "I thought it would be funny." "You thought it was cursed?" Mark raised an eyebrow. "A singing fish?" "Yeah," Seth explained. "It was one of those novelty wall-mounted ones. I had it programmed to sing Shallow from A Star Is Born. Halfway through, it glitched and started screaming in binary code. Pretty sure that's why Michael Strahan left." Kelly burst out laughing. "Yes, and then it wouldn't stop. We had to unplug it, and it still kept going." The MacFarlane effect. As the interview went on, Seth's playful digs transformed into genuine admiration for Kelly's staying power. All jokes aside, he said, you're basically the Beyoncé of morning TV. You've kept this thing alive. Through every lineup change, every ratings shift, every time I come on here and derail the conversation. Kelly smiled warmly. That means a lot, Seth, especially coming from you, the man who somehow juggles an animated empire, live action shows, and a music career. Don't forget the singing fish, Seth added. Mark leaned in. I have to say, this is my first time doing an interview with you, Seth, and I totally get why Kelly's been bringing you back all these years. You're trouble. Trouble in a good way, Kelly clarified. Turning the joke around, of course, Kelly couldn't let Seth leave without a little payback. As they wrapped up, she said, you know, Seth, you keep making these jokes about my co-hosts disappearing. But you've been on Family Guy for 25 years. What if I told you I think you've been replacing your cast in secret? Seth looked mock-offended. How dare you suggest I've been hiding a voice actor body count? I'm just saying, Kelly teased. Mila Kunis looks suspiciously good for someone who's been voicing Meg Griffin for over 2 decades. I'm starting to think there's a clone situation. Mark jumped in. Clone Conspiracy, live at 9 a.m., hosted by Kelly and Peter Griffin. A perfect exit as the segment came to a close. Seth stood up to hug Kelly and Mark, giving the audience one last quip. Mark, if you suddenly get an offer to spend more time with your family and move to Los Angeles, call me. I'll be your witness. Kelly waved him off, laughing. Go promote your show before you get us both in trouble. And with that, Seth sauntered off stage, leaving behind a studio still buzzing with laughter, and maybe, just maybe, a few audience members wondering if there was more to his co-host killer theory than met the eye. Off-camera backstage, Kelly was still chuckling. You know, I've been doing this long enough to know when someone's just playing, but Seth, he really commits to the bit. Mark, sipping from his hopefully safe coffee, replied, I think that's why people love him. He's smart, quick, and just the right amount of inappropriate for morning TV. Kelly nodded. And if he keeps making those jokes, I'm going to start calling him the serial killer. The serial kidding killer. Postscript, the internet reacts. By that afternoon, clips from the interview were making the rounds on social media. The hashtags, hashtag co-host killer, and hashtag Kelly did it, were trending on X, formerly Twitter, with fans posting their favorite moments from the segment. Kelly Ripa definitely murdered all her co-hosts. Seth MacFarlane solved the case. At Morning Show Fan 2 to Mark Consuelos, blink twice if you need help. At Latte and Laughs, I need a Seth MacFarlane narrated Kelly Ripa true crime docuseries immediately. At Pop Culture Nerd, Devin Seth got in on the fun, posting a selfie with Kelly and Mark, captioned, Another morning, another potential victim. Hashtag live with Kelly and Mark. Kelly responded with a photo of herself holding a fake magnifying glass, looking for my next co-host. Epilogue, a standing invitation. Later that week, Kelly was asked in a press interview whether Seth's murder joke had rattled her. She laughed and said, not at all. If Seth MacFarlane wants to accuse me of killing off my co-hosts every time he's here, he's welcome anytime. He just makes the mornings better. And maybe a little more suspicious. Somewhere in Los Angeles, Seth was probably already writing the next bit, maybe about Kelly's suspiciously sharp letter opener, or her uncanny ability to always know where the cameras are, and when he inevitably returned to live, the audience would be ready for another round of good-natured chaos. After all, morning television could always use a little more mystery and a lot more laughter.